Welcome to the Killer Author Club. 3 best-selling authors talking about killing, of the fictional kind, with the best thriller and suspense authors in the business. Killer conversations, killer cocktails, and killer guests, with your hosts, Kimberly Bell, Heather Gudenkauf, and Kara Ruda. This is the Killer Author Club.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Killer Author Club, your favorite haunt for all things murder, mystery, and mayhem. We are so excited to have the lovely and deviously talented Jenna Blum here with us tonight, braving the Killer Author Club, to talk about all things murder your darlings. Will any of us survive? We have tons of questions and heaps of killer fun planned, so buckle up and get ready to kill the lights. I'm Killer Heather Gudenkauf, and we have Killer Jenna Blum.
And I'm Killer Kara Ruda.
And I'm Killer Kimberly Bell.
So before we dive into Jenna's fabulous book, a couple of quick PSAs. Tonight's show will be available this Friday as a podcast with bonus content just for listeners. Find the links at killerauthorclub.com. And while you're there, sign up for our newsletter so you'll be the first to hear all our killer breaking news. And also don't forget that this Thursday we have an Instagram takeover with Yasmin Ango. She'll be jumping into the clubhouse to dish on Behind These Four Walls. Answer your burning questions. And yes, there will be giveaways. And speaking of giveaways, oh my goodness, do we have something special for you? Kara has partnered with our killer book shop that we love, Swamp Fox Bookstore, to create a fabulous pre-order book bundle. And tonight she's giving one of these book bundles away. Kara, do you want to tell everyone what the winner will receive?
Why, Heather, I'd love to. Okay, one U.S. winner, I feel like we're on a game show. One U.S. winner will receive a signed paperback first edition of We Were Never Friends, a bid letter written and signed by former Rush Chair Theta Gamma Mu Roxy Callahan Gentry, a Meet Me in Palm Springs pink leather luggage tag, a fair trade cotton bracelet, and an exclusive Swamp Fox Bookstore sticker featuring logo artwork by Kevin Cannon. So all of that can be yours. If you guys are interested, just let us know in the comments, maybe tag your best friend. But remember, this is not like a woman's fiction book, it's suspense. So these are frenemies. But anyway, that is.
Or tag your frenemy. Why not?
Yes, tag your frenemy. But yes, thanks to Swamp Fox for doing this with me.
And you can also go to Swamp Fox Books to the website and get the pre-order bundle for yourself. So we'll be dropping the link in the comments. So now, Kara, will you please introduce our killer guest?
It would be my pleasure. Jenna is the New York Times and #1 internationally best-selling author of 3 novels and a memoir. Her fifth book and first thriller, Murder Your Darlings, has been praised by various reviewers as delicious, wickedly twisted, a captivating tale of love, death, and literature, and optioned by Rom Pfeiffer Entertainment. I hope I said that right. Jenna is published in over 25 countries, a 28-year veteran teacher, one of Oprah's top 30 women writers, and CEO, co-founder of A Mighty Blaze. And we all love her here, and we love the book, Jenna. Now, can you give us the elevator pitch for Murder Your Darlings?
Yes. Hello, killers. I can't tell you how excited I have been to refer to myself as a killer in all of our emails setting this up. It makes me feel so legit for like the first time as a thriller author. And so it has just been like a total joy. And thank you for all your promotion and for welcoming me to the club. So Murder Your Darlings, which I'm currently on tour with, which is why I'm in this sketchy looking hotel room background, is about a mid-career female novelist who's on tour with her 4th novel. Sales are a little soft, and she's also under contract for her 5th novel, which she dreads, despises, and fears because she's completely blocked on it. And she thinks at the beginning of the novel when we meet her, her name is Sam Vetiver, she surprises herself by thinking, I would give this all up if I could only meet somebody to share my life with. And lo and behold, into her DM slides stratospherically successful, extremely sexy and charismatic best-selling author William Corwin, who is about to go on tour with his novel All the Lambent Souls. And he asks Sam, will you have dinner with me? They have dinner, they have chemistry, they have literary simpatico, and they start to have a romance, and bodies begin to pile up around them in the literary world. And Sam, who comes from a trauma background and second guesses her own instincts, doesn't know whether William is too good to be true, or are the murders being caused by one of his numerous stalkers, including a very determined and criminally dangerous bookseller called the Rabbit.
So
I know. So good. Great summary. I know where's my rabbit? Oh, there he is. Okay. Yeah. He got a little dented in the mail, but I taped him back together. Or she, I should say, she got a little dented. Anyway, Jenna, thank you for that. Okay. Kimberly, next up, what are we drinking tonight?
Tonight's drink is the Darling. So Jenna, please tell us why you've chosen this drink as yours tonight. It looks delicious.
It is delicious. It's also dangerous. We had these at my launch in Boston, and everybody had a big head the next day. It's red, which obviously needs to happen in a book about murder. And it has writer's tears bourbon in it, because the book is set in the world of writing, not just the publishing industry, but everything from writing workshops to the writer's study where you sit in your yoga pants for months on end, to being out on tour, to the skyscrapers of Manhattan where our editors and agents live.
I love it. And that's a real thing, the writer's tears. Have you ever
Oh,
seen
yeah.
that bottle? It really exists.
Oh, yeah, it does. It is delicious, actually. We are delicious. Our tears are delicious.
yes.
Well, cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Congratulations, Jenna.
Cheers. Thank you, you guys. And Kara, I love that you put like a little scarf on your rabbit's neck to hide its scars. It's very murdery.
I know she's still a little floppy, I have to admit, but it kind of on camera.
That's dramatic.
Yes, so we created the Killer Author Club so readers like you could get up close and personal with their favorite thriller writers. Our upcoming lineup is stacked with amazing killers, including our own Killer Kara, Lisa Unger, Will Dean, Jillian McAllister, Danielle Gerard, and so many more. So for dates, times, past episodes, and our Killer 2026 lineup, surf to killerauthorclub.com. But tonight, it's all about Murder Your Darlings. Here's what some of Jenna's early reviewers have had to say about the book. Okay, our very own Karen Slaughter, Killer alumni, says, authors and book tours, stalkers and deadlines, horrid men and ice-cold revenge. Murder Your Darlings will have you cracking up while you're checking under your bed. So true. And Kirkus Reviews says, smart and darkly funny. Blum's novel offers a biting commentary on romance, revenge, and the ways writers can get inside us and change us. A smart, sexy thriller that disturbs as it satisfies. So Jenna, clearly you are a devious and inventive killer, and now we need to know the answer to your killer question. Why do you kill?
Because I write, therefore I kill. Oh my gosh, you guys are so much fun. Even when I was writing historical fiction, there was a lot of death in it. So, and a lot of sex, and there was a lot of both in Darlings, and I just moved it into different clothes, into contemporary clothes, and no clothes, as the case may be.
A lot of no clothes, as the
A lot of no clothes. Yeah, this is spicy one, you guys. That's why you need these drinks, this nice cooling.
Yeah, it is spicy. We love it.
It is spicy, and that's a big part of the fun in this book too.
Yes, sex sells, Jenna.
Thank you. So they tell me, please, from your mouth to God's ears.
Yeah, that's great. So, and we're going to talk all about how you came over to the dark side writing thrillers. But first of all, Murder Your Darlings, it blends the literary world with dark suspense in really a delicious way. So what was the initial seed of this story? Was it Sam, William, the rabbit, the writing life, satire, or something entirely different?
Well, I knew that I wanted to write about two writers having a relationship and the sort of dark underbelly of that. In some ways, it's really great when you have a relationship with a creative, if you're a creative, because you get each other's life rhythms, which are really weird, y'all. Like, you can't talk to me for 8 months because I'm carrying a story around in my head. And if you talk to me, I'll be like, shut up, shut up, shut up. Or, you'll walk into a room and I'll be like, no, 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 just get out. And I don't mean it personally. Or I'm on tour for a year or whatever. It's very strange. So it's good to have somebody who knows that. But on the underside of it, there's writer envy, there's writer competition. And in the case of Sam and William, there's also a question of appropriation and whether Sam is borrowing part of William's life to make her own pivot from historical fiction to the dark side, as you say.
Yes, the dark side. And so why do you know when you decided, okay, I'm known for historical fiction and I'm going to just all of a sudden just leap into this murderous dark side? Did you have like a moment that you realized that?
Yeah, there wasn't really like a come to Jesus or like come to killer moment in particular, but I was working on this historical novel that my agent loved and my editor loved. And indeed, it was a great idea. But you know how they say something is good on paper? It was not good on paper. It was really wooden and really boring. And meanwhile, this idea for Darlings was like sneaking up the back steps, like pushing my nice historical novel out of the way into the basement, locking the door, throwing the key into the sewer so nobody would ever find her again. And I was kind of wrestling like with do I have the chops to write a thriller? Like, this is not my lane. Is it like me suddenly writing poetry, which I can't do? And then I read Jean Hanff Korelitz's The Plot while I was wrestling with this decision. And the plot is so smart and so funny about the publishing industry. And I thought, hey, wait a minute, I can have cheeseburger. Like, if Jean can do this, can I also do it? And so I became a stalker. Like, I called Jean. I got her number from a mutual friend. I'd never met her. And I called her and said, did you get pushback when you started writing thrillers? And she just said, I write what I want to write, and then other people market it, and you should write what you want to write. So if there was any one moment when I became a killer, it was that moment. So we can all blame Jean Hanff Korelitz for making me into a killer.
Well, we're going to blame her and thank her.
Yeah, and thank her. And I don't think Jean, because she came out with a book after The Plot, and I don't think it was a thriller, right? She kind of swings around and goes from genre to genre.
Yeah, she had like a little sandwich in there. So she wrote The Plot, and then she wrote another book that was, quote, literary fiction about a family called The Latecomers. And then she pivoted back and wrote the sequel to The Plot, which is called The Sequel. So she kind of strides.
I need to read it.
Yeah, it's great. You would love it. You will love it because it is like the same world of The Plot. And I just was with her this past weekend on a panel, and she was like, you killers out there who want to write series, make sure that you leave some people alive so that when you write the series and the sequel, you have like people to do the murdering and people who can be the suspects. And so there you go, some advice.
Good advice.
Right?
All right, so let's talk about William Corwin because he is so fascinating and so fun, and his banter with Sam was just delicious. But okay, so where did he come from? Like, how did he grow in your head, and was he talking to you? Because he seems like one of those characters who like gets under your skin and doesn't let go.
Yeah, William is that guy. Like, we all know that guy, right? Like the really charismatic guy who you're like, are you even kidding me right now with this? But it's like irresistible. One of my reviewers who I spoke with this week called him deliciously vile. And I was like, I love that. That's another temporary tattoo. I already have one that says wickedly twisted because I took that from a library journal review. And now I have one that says deliciously vile. So one on each arm. So William was always going to be this character in the book who was incredibly, like a tractor beam for women. And indeed, all of his audiences are women. He writes books featuring female protagonists, which genres with every book, but women love him. He's like catnip for women. He will never use a normal word if a $25 word will do. And he's like very sexy and just kind of, and like one of those bachelor dudes. And he was not supposed to be a point of view character in the book. He was just supposed to be the person Sam was having a relationship with, and both of them were going to be stalked by the rabbit, which does happen. But when I got to writing part 2, and I wrote this chronologically, William was like, hello, it is I. Step aside. William Corwin is ready to take the stage and show you what it's really all about. And I was like, okay. So I called my editor and I said, William wants to narrate the second act of the book. And she's like, I think that's great. And William was like, came into my head fully formed with his own voice. It's not my voice. And he brings a sort of dark electricity to the book, I think, because the William Corwin you see on the outside is not the same William Corwin you see behind the curtain. And so going into Act 3, you know that Sam is in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
From various directions.
Yeah. Yeah. I would have been disappointed, I think, if I hadn't have heard from him.
Mm-hmm.
He was that much of a character. He's like that much of a presence in the book that you gotta give him the mic.
No, right. Well, I mean, he wouldn't have had it any other way.
Right.
So there's that.
Yeah,
William
kind of demand it.
Yeah, he was like, boop. I will say, too, that William is a narcissist, and I'm not spoiling anything by saying that. And I know we all talk a lot about narcissists these days. Like, that person who takes too long in the line at Starbucks in front of you is a narcissist. You're like, just get your almond latte already with the matcha and move on, narcissist. But William is a legit narcissist, and he operates in this closed system of what is good for William. And by that logic, the things he does actually make sense. But he also doesn't know how his actions are being perceived in the outside world. And that to me made him really funny and super fun to write. Like every time I open the book and I'm reading a William section, I just snort laugh because he's like so deliciously vile.
Yeah. Laugh out loud. Mm-hmm. And but speaking of trouble, let's talk about the rabbit, because what a fun, interesting character. And the rabbit like won't swear on the page.
It's so funny.
But will stalk, these authors and, throughout the country. So tell us where the rabbit came from.
Yeah, she, like William, just kind of came in. So originally this book was going to be about, which it is still kind of, about Sam and William and their relationship, and William being attractive to a lot of women and Sam turning into a stalker as well, like with being stalked by the rabbit, and then also becoming somebody she didn't recognize and somebody she doesn't like because of her relationship with William. And that does actually happen. The rabbit was not supposed to have a point of view. She was just supposed to be somebody who was following them around. And then one day when I was writing part 1, I was lying around feeling sorry for myself the way that writers sometimes do. And I thought, what if one of the women stalking William, just out of like sheer William Corwin adoration, like she had like been with him briefly and then been discarded and can't let him go. A lot of women like that in the book. And I thought, what if she had a voice? And I got up and went to my desk and wrote what became the prologue of the book, like verbatim. And it was like sticking my hands into a socket. And the rabbit was always like that. Like every time I wrote something from her point of view, I was like, thank God today I get to write the rabbit. And she is like the person who speaks truth to power. She walks into your kitchen, she's going to have some coffee, and she's going to sit down and say, that fucking guy. Sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to curse in the Killer Club, but I'm from New Jersey. She'd be like, that effing guy, because the rabbit, as you pointed out, doesn't swear, even though she does many criminal things. Right. And I really have great empathy for her because she comes from the wrong side of the tracks. She's super poor. People think she's called the rabbit because she has this massive overbite and she could never afford to get her teeth straightened. People overlook her because of the way she looks, and she's very smart and very determined. And her life work is A, being a bookseller, and B, following William and his women around.
Yeah, I loved her. Loved that character. So it's so fun to see like her story slowly be revealed throughout the story, and very good.
So I know that you're in the Northeast somewhere, and this book is set in Maine on a very remote island, which kind of gave me Shining vibes. I don't know if that was your intention, but it certainly felt that way. Also because of the weather, I think it was cold. There was a winter storm. So tell us about the setting and why you chose that setting.
Yeah, 100%. I love that. The book owes a lot to The Shining. My one writer idol who I've not met yet is Stephen King. I grew up reading him, and I think he's responsible for probably me being able to write a thriller. because I love his portraits of people doing bad things and why, and people under duress and why they act the way they do. So love me some Stephen King. And basically that whole third act on the island is like a ripoff. So William lives on an island in remote Maine called William Island, because of course it is. And he has moved there to get away from his fans who are stalking him. And then I love this sort of idea of the destination thriller where the setting becomes an active catalyst for the characters to do what they do. And in the final act, Sam, I don't think I'm spoiling it, like Sam and Redrum Your Darlings. Yeah, totally, exactly. Right? Like William's not here, Mrs. Torrance. So Sam and the rabbit and William are sometimes all together in William's very beautiful home on William Island. And then that forces a sort of crucible for like the final act. And I had so much fun with that. And it presented some challenges because I'm like, how do people get to William Island? And how do you get off William Island? And in the winter, if there's a blizzard, like what happens on William Island? What happens there stays there.
That's what I was going to say. Oh my gosh. Okay. And also the Darlings support group. I thought that was such an interesting, clever, dark twist, and how an author could start a support group and then maybe use them for, his own purposes. So how did that part of the story come about?
Thank you. So there is a particular kind of narcissist, and I forget what it's called, but it's like a subspecies of narcissist. It's not covert. It's like, God, I'm going to remember this as soon as I get off this interview with you killers, but I will find it and I'll like put it in the chat. Anyway, people who are really philanthropic and they're just like, everybody look at me because I'm doing good things. And William is like that. And he starts this group called the Darlings because he lost a fiance in grad school who was his darling. And he decided that he wanted to run this group to give writers a place to air their terrible, sad grievances and the difficulties of their lives. And the support group turns out to play a slightly different role in the story than you might think it does. But it also was really fun to write. And I got to showcase like what some of those grievances of the writing life are, like the real struggles that I've heard from people who are, really slogging it out in the trenches.
Yeah, I thought it was a great aspect. And I cannot believe this, but I think it's killer giveaway time already. Holy camole. We could listen to you talk all night, Jenna, so thank you for that. But it's now time for our giveaway portion. Jenna is giving away 3 copies of Murder Your Darlings to lucky U.S. viewers. Doesn't matter where you're watching. We scour the comments everywhere we stream. But please make sure to shout out where you're from when you answer this question. Which character named after an animal has a point of view in Murder Your Darlings? So
what
tough.
Could it be?
What could it be?
Why you have ears? That's so great.
Mine tragically did not arrive on time. Otherwise, I would be very
I just like this. Okay.
All right, guys, the killers are big fans of independent booksellers, and we want to send them all the support. Jenna has chosen Belmont Books in Belmont, Massachusetts to highlight tonight. Jenna, can you tell us why you love Belmont Books so much?
Belmont Books is run by 2 people who met and got married in one of my writing workshops. And
stop. That's amazing.
It's true. And then one day, my friend Kathy, who still runs the bookstore, she was an ER doc when she came into the workshop. And then she came in one day and she's like, I'm not overweight. I'm pregnant, y'all. I'm like 8 months pregnant. And then they had 3 kids. And then they started Belmont. And Belmont is an amazing community nucleus, as all independent bookstores are. And they have a lot of great readings, and they've expanded a little bit over the years. And it's just such a joy to see people take on the really challenging undertaking of running a bookstore. I mean, it's not something you do to get rich quick. You do it because you love book. You're people of the book. So as we all are. And I just am so proud of them and am so overjoyed to see them succeed.
Well, amazing. And let's send them some love tonight. I just dropped the link in the comments so you can order Murder Your Darlings along with any other books on your wish list.
And obviously, we killers, we love to read, and we love it when you share what you're reading in our Facebook group. So post pictures, write reviews, ask for recommendations, and give yours. But tonight, though, we would really love to know, Jenna, what have you been reading lately?
God, what have I been reading lately? I run a company called A Mighty Blaze that puts authors online when they release new books. And so I get a lot of advanced reading copies. And what I'm reading right now is a book that will be out on February 25th. I'm amazed that my little killer brain remembered that. It's by my friend Chris Castellani, and it's called Last Scene. And you killers out there will love this because Chris is a literary fiction author, and he's making a pivot to writing true crime, but it's still super literary. So this book is told from the point of view of many dead boys who have been killed and put in rivers by the smiley face killer. And it's narrated from their perspective so that we can see who they loved while they were still alive and how those people are handling these murders. And it's so heartbreaking and tender. And it's kind of like true crime narrated by like T.S. Eliot or something. It's just like an amazing kind of mashup. And that's what I'm reading right now. And it's great. Oh, and I just finished Laura Zigman's The Author Weekend. Laura Zigman is also like this very comic writer. And this is her first thriller about a bunch of people who go to this fancy, foofy author weekend on an island, and not surprisingly, things go terribly awry. So that's really fun, and that's coming out in May.
Amazing.
Okay, and speaking of fabulous new releases, we want to celebrate tonight. First, we have The Briars by Sarah Crouch. The Briars is a lush and atmospheric novel of suspense following a young woman whose job as a game warden puts her in the path of a murderer in a small town eager to protect its own. Congratulations on that. And we also have Detour by Jeff Rake and Rob Hart. A space shuttle flight crew discovers that the Earth they've returned to is not the home they left behind in the first book of this emotional, mind-bending thriller series from the creator of the hit Netflix show Manifest and the best-selling author of The Warehouse. So Sarah is giving away 2 copies of The Briars, and Jeff and Rob are giving away 3 copies of Detour, all to U.S. viewers. Sorry, Canada. I saw a couple of you guys over there. We'll get some Canadian authors in here too. If you want in, tell us in the comments and make sure to tell us where you're from. And because we're all about shamelessly plugging our own murdery fun, don't miss.
Yeah, Kara's got We Were Never Friends, a sorority reunion that takes a very, very dark turn. Pre-order now before the party gets started, and she'll send you some freebies.
Oh my God, I can't wait to read that, Kara. I can't wait. I need an arc, please.
I know. I need to get you one. Okay.
So good. And speaking of deadly parties, Heather's serving up the perfect hosts, an over-the-top gender reveal party that explodes in more ways than one.
Oh, yes. And Kimberly's taking you on a deadly European getaway and the expat affair. 2 Americans, the glittering diamond trade, and danger in Amsterdam.
Woohoo!
You guys, these are also delicious. These are just delicious books. You are a great chocolate box of killers, each one a slightly different flavor.
Thank you. We like to think of ourselves that way too. Now I always will.
Right?
So, Jenna, we have excellent news. You have survived the Killer Author Club.
Thank God. Woo.
I know. It was touch and go there for a minute, but please tell us where our listeners and viewers can find you.
Everywhere. I am just getting around right now. I'm going to be on tour until June. So we're
Oh my gosh.
Your city near you. I'm going to see Heather in Iowa.
Yes. February 13th, I believe, in Des Moines. Reveal books. So Iowans, come find us.
That's going to be so amazing. I'll be in California, so watch out, Killer Kara. I'm going to come to Santa Monica. And Kimberly, where are you? Am I
I'm in
stalking
Atlanta.
you? Okay, I'm working on it. Going to get down there. But meanwhile, all of my events are on my website at www.jennablum.com. I'm an open book. I'm easily stalkable. So you can come to any of those events, live or virtual. And I'm also on Facebook and on Instagram relentlessly, posting about my events. And also on Twitter, which I refuse to call X. And also on TikTok, although not as much as I should be. But I am there. And Substack. and everywhere. Yeah.
You really are everywhere.
Like I'm trying to be ubiquitous. Yep. Like the rabbit.
Yep.
We are so glad you're able to be here with us tonight. So thank you, Jenna. And
Thank you so much.
And that's a wrap for tonight's episode. So thanks for hanging out with us. Don't forget that Killer Asmund Ango will be taking over our Instagram this Thursday with tons of fun and giveaways. And we'll be back on February 3rd with our very own Killer Kara Ruda talking all things We Were Never Friends. Until then, you can catch us wasting entirely too much time on Instagram, Facebook, occasionally TikTok. And if you're on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to our channel. So for links, upcoming schedule, past episodes, and merch, head to killerauthorclub.com. And thanks for being part of the club. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
That does it for tonight's show. Thank you for tuning in. If you'd like to catch our next show live, we're every other Tuesday night on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. For times, upcoming schedule, and to catch up on past episodes, visit us at killerauthorclub.com. Happy reading. Now get on out there and kill that TBR.